Thanks very much, Chair, and also thanks to our speakers. First of all, I just want to acknowledge, I suppose, this past week when schools have been starting back, you know, the nervousness, I suppose, and the worry for both parents and students. But to say as well, to try and focus a little bit on the positive, that it is good to see kids going back. It's good to see them interacting with their friends and maybe getting back to some sort of normality for them. And I think a huge amount of schools have done their very, very best over the last while. And I do think there'll be teething problems, and we should acknowledge that. I want to pay particular tribute to the Gael School, Gael Rí in Kilkenny, who held a meeting about a week before school resumed, and they had a GP, and I think the title was a child psychotherapist as well, for parents. I thought that was an excellent idea. And then there was a follow-up Zoom call with the specific, I know for my son anyway, with a specific teacher for the class, and I thought that was excellent. So just to say that there is schools, you know, and I know I would definitely...
There's a difficulty with picking up the sound.
Oh,
sorry.
I'll sit in closer, sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. There seems to be sound issues all morning from what I hear. Yeah. But anyway, just to say that there is some really good work, I suppose, being done by the schools and teachers. What I want to specifically focus on is resource hours and special needs assistance, and also assessments, and just to see what your own opinions. Do you feel there has been enough done to date from the department and from the Minister in relation to ensuring that there is additional resource hours and additional special needs assistance? I don't know if you're aware of a survey that was carried out by As I Am, the autism charity, where they surveyed, I think, around 1,100 parents, that specifically 77% of those said they felt their children who were getting additional supports would need even more support, but half of those parents felt they wouldn't get that. And I think that shows the experience of parents with children with additional needs is, you know, you have to fight for absolutely everything, and it's kind of sad to see that people think that they won't actually get these additional supports. I just want to see what your opinions are, and what more can be done regarding the resource hours, the special needs assistance and assessments, because obviously there's been massive delays, and that will obviously have a knock-on effect on children maybe getting into an ASD class. So just to ask that firstly. Thanks.
One survey, I think it was 51.5% of respondents said they'd noticed either some regression or significant regression in their child's educational and personal skills development. The special education teaching hours, there is potential. First of all, we'd have to say it's welcome the department have put extra resources into the substitute panel. But you know, if we look at a situation like we're coming into the winter season, teachers would ordinarily go to work with a sniffle or a cold, whereas at the moment it's any signs of anything that could resemble COVID-19, they've been told to stay at home, and rightly so. However, that's going to put significant pressure on the substitute panel, and when there's nobody available on the substitute panel, it's those special education teachers that are going to be called in and away from their primary duty of supporting young people with disabilities. So we'd like to see if the Minister can possibly do it to put some additional resource towards those panels, the substitute panels. In terms of the SNA piece, there is going to be direct substitution there, but we'd still worry about that piece where there are SNAs going between a number of classes, and that if possible, if schools could put a case forward, the department would consider those on a case-by-case basis, just to ensure there's no possibilities of cross-contamination. And again, you know, when we look at the class bubbles, there is perhaps, you know, parents are getting, it's only anecdotal feedback at first, but have been told that, you know, it's going to pose difficulty around in class assessments from the likes of HSE personnel and NEPS personnel. And as my colleague has indicated earlier, a lot of HSE personnel are already redeployed into contact tracing and testing.
Has it been your experience then that parents are not then getting the assessments that are required? Because I don't know anybody who has had their appointment stalled due to COVID that has actually now gotten like a follow-up and appointment and gotten an assessment? Is that your same experience? And if you're saying even that there could be potentially anecdotal issues around personnel being in the same room, that seems crazy, really, to be honest. That
an issue in terms of carrying out assessment needs, in particular children who require assessments by psychologists tend to have to be an in-room assessment, and I know directives, you know, for interaction with children really was remote. So there's certain types of things that can't be carried out remotely, and I'm aware that there's the HC are looking at other means to carry those things out. So there is a delay for children who are going through the assessment, the statutory assessment needs process, whereby it couldn't be completed because all relevant therapists either were unavailable because of redeployment, or the assessment itself required them to meet the child in person, and that was proving problematic, particularly in the early months of COVID. And I know face-to-face engagement has started, but it's probably on a very low level given that there are staff that are redeployed. There's existing shortages and waiting lists that we already know, but all of that is being compounded by COVID itself and restrictions on interactions.
just one final point, because I think I'm coming up on my 5 minutes. Are you saying that it's your experience that NEP psychologists have been redeployed, or am I picking that up?
No, it's HSE staff. It wouldn't be, NEPs wouldn't, as far as I don't any are aware, they wouldn't have been redeployed for contact tracing or swabbing. It's actually HSE, whereas NEPs is funded through the Department of Education.
That's causing a delay then in the assessments. Okay, thanks. Sorry for